Ooh, it's time to delve into Norse mythology with this one. We're going to talk about Ragnarok, otherwise known as the Twilight of the Gods. This is a Netflix show made by Zack Snyder and Jay Oliva. These two guys were big at DC in the last decade, so we were definitely in for a treat while walking into this show. You know how it goes, characters first, then the show. Let's get into it. First in line, we have Sigrid. She is a half-human, half-giant. She is the size of a regular human woman, but has the strength which surpasses that of a normal woman her size. That must be the giant's blood coursing through her veins. Her mother was the human, and her father was the giant. Do you want to imagine how that went? I definitely don't want to imagine that. She is a fierce warrior and the queen of a Viking clan ruled by her husband, Leif. She is a loving romantic partner, a virtuous woman who stands up for herself and her beliefs. She also felt out of place among the giants, but was still very welcome there and loved them. The problem was her size compared to theirs. She is also consumed by vengeance and shows signs of veering towards the dark side. Her rage clouds her judgment. But then we get the trait that she is very driven and does not back down no matter what the odds are. Then we've got Leif, king of a Viking clan. He's a tough guy with a soft heart. Of course, he lets the soft heart take the lead, as the whole merciless warrior thing is in the past at the point of the show. He is a changed man. He still has the strength and weaponry needed to showcase his physical prowess and superiority over his enemies, but has become more of a pacifist. Maybe that isn't the right word. But it's more like he doesn't want to be violent anymore and prefers diplomatic solutions. He is caring and loving as well as open about how he feels, but feels a bit troubled by Sigrid's lust for vengeance against the gods. Next up, we've got Egil, the poet/slave who belongs to Leif. He's a sweet-talking charmer who doesn't do much fighting. I mean, he does fight, but he's more of a liability in the battlefield. His main trait is his wit and subservience. When in tough times like this, it's good to have loyal people around you, even if they are your slaves. He likes both flavors of ice cream, and Zack Snyder made sure we saw that in very explicit ways. Why, you ask? I really don't know. I have a lot of questions about the decisions made in the show too, but I can save them for later. Hervor, the tough lady of the group. She's not the tough guy, she's the tough lady. She's very tough, very strong, driven, strong-willed, and determined. Despite being such a fierce woman, she is also sensitive. She enjoys a good fight, but has a very human side to her. Her love for fighting also comes from her desire to reunite with her dead sons, who died in battle. She would like to die in battle as well, so that she can join them in Valhalla. She wields a broadsword. Those things are hard to wield, hard to manage. She does it very well. There's Andvari the dwarf. He lived in Nidavellir and wanted revenge against the gods for what happened to his brother. His brother was driven mad and cursed to guard a forest of enchanted apples. Andvari would not let this go unavenged, but needed the right push, the right motivation. Once Sigrid showed up with her quest for vengeance, it gave him the perfect reason for going up against those who destroyed his family. He is also consumed with rage and vengeance, but unlike Sigrid, is willing to show mercy and be reasonable when the situation calls for it. Save Kona, the witch also known as Isle. This one is a witch. What can I say about her apart from stereotypical stuff about the witch who joins the merry band of adventurers? She has powers they don't understand and is cursed with knowledge of things to come. She first shows to be cold and distant, but then comes to care about the other members of the group. In fact, she starts to care a little too much about them for such a short period of time together, especially our smooth-talking poet, Egil. Yeah, they totally got up to no good together. She is a protective, loyal, and proactive witch. She often acts independently, but always for the good of her group and never does anything that screws them over. Ulfr, The Wolfman. This guy's a weirdo. I don't think anyone would realistically feel any form of comfort being around him. He's a very strange guy and barely talks. When he does, you kind of don't really understand what he's saying until you hear his whole statement. He's also a cannibal. Or at least he once cannibalized a child. Yeah, he's a weirdo. He has abnormal strength and wears bear skin. Ah, I got it. He's feral. That's the word. He's feral. He hangs out with the witch, so that is kind of acceptable. No way anyone would just recruit him while out on a quest. Last on the good guys list is Tyra. She's got the same hair color as me. I don't know how this kind of person would make it all the way to Norway back in those days, but we take what we can with as little questioning as possible. She's shy and kind of useful in battle. On how helpful she is, I guess I can say that she's as helpful as Ergil. She has more skill than him in a fight, but her kind of fighting still doesn't really take her far in the battlefield, which is why I say they're equally helpful. Now, on the bad guy's side, there's Thor. That's right, Thor is the bad guy in this show. I don't know how true this is to Norse mythology, but Thor comes off as bloodthirsty, unreasonable, and kind of spoiled. He just does whatever he wants, and it's either because he's the prince or because there's nothing you can do about it, even if you tried. He's foul-mouthed, an adulterer, headstrong, impatient, rude, condescending, insensitive, unruly, brash, and just plain mean. Jeez, dude. Seriously. Is this what we know about Thor in the myth, or is it just how other people saw him? Then Loki. I put him on the bad guy's side because this guy is definitely shifty. He's helping Sigrid out, but Sigrid only came to him because of his machinations. We can also theorize that Thor slaughtered Sigrid's clan due to Loki's machinations. It wasn't just Thor being a brute. I mean, he did say that he was looking for Thor when he killed them, and thought that they were hiding him. And Loki did happen to be around to help Sigrid out right after Thor left. Right there where the clan died. That should not be a coincidence. He is shown in a tragic light, trying desperately to save his family from the prophecy of their deaths. Well, okay then. But you do realize that the prophecy of Ragnarok, aka Twilight of the Gods, comes true because of your machinations, right? So you're bringing down the entire order of the gods in order to spare your family. You're fulfilling a prophecy in order to stop another prophecy from coming true. I don't think you thought your plan out properly. To conclusion. But anyway, we move. Loki isn't a god that looks like a person. He's certainly humanoid. He's bluish gray with white hair and plain, shining eyes. He's also slim. He has a very interesting look. I don't know what he's supposed to look like according to the mythology, but this look is distinct and interesting. Well, on to the show. The show presents a more mythology accurate depiction of the Aesir than the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Notice how I use the word Aesir instead of Asgardian, because that's what they're actually called in the mythology. I don't know why Marvel didn't call them Aesir. This show did, though, and it's fine details like that that I love to see being paid attention to in adaptations. The show is extremely violent and presents a lot of interesting ideas. What if Thor were the bad guy? What if we finally gave deities the accents of the countries they reign over instead of British accents? What if we made a guy animate numerous sex scenes for an 8-episode show? Seriously, what the heck was up with that? Moving on. What does this mean for the show? It means that the show is very mature and treats its audience like mature people. The show doesn't gel over the more outlandish aspects of Aesir lore. Heck, they even brought up how Loki conceived Odin's 12-legged horse. Tell me, did the child-friendly Marvel Cinematic Universe ever bother to explain that? Do you think they would? It wouldn't be necessary to touch on that, huh? I mean, we did have a Thor quadrilogy to explore the backstory of many characters in the Thor myths. But it's okay. I love how they made other aspects accurate to the lore as well, such as Thor having red hair and being more of a barbarian type than just a goofy guy who doesn't really know what's what except when he's fighting. This Thor is a brute, a warrior, a guy who hammers first and maybe talks later, if you happen to be a witness to his massacre, because there's no surviving him. I didn't understand what Freya's deal was. First, she was of the same hair color as me. I don't know why, but okay. Is her beef with Odin accurate to the mythology, or is it another one of those let's deconstruct these people things we like doing these days? The show, I can say, is well written but lacks in some areas. I mean, yeah, sure, we know the characters, we know their motivations, we see the story flow, but what do we see beyond that? The show starts off with a normal pace, then goes through a really fast pace, then slows down, then just ramps it up in the end. I didn't get it. Is this a show that's supposed to keep going for multiple seasons, or is it just meant to end at one? When I get to the end, well, I see the answer. I see that it's meant for more than one season. So far, I haven't heard anything regarding season 2. I wonder why. It seemed to get pretty solid ratings, and both fans and professional critics complimented the show. So, what's the deal, Netflix? Sigrid's quest for vengeance is what drives the plot forward. The allies she makes along the way provide some extra content to be consumed as we watch the show. We at least get to see Leif be a merciless thug as well, but he seems to be a bit more reasonable and reluctant than she is. He understands her want for vengeance because he witnessed the massacre of her clan firsthand. I mean, it affected him as well. We also see throughout the revelations showed to us as the show progresses that he's kind of forcing things to work for him and Sigrid. They love each other, yes. They want to be with each other, yes. But there was just something that wasn't fully on about them. We saw this when he tried to get his dead father's blessing and failed multiple times until he just had to force the situation to work. I mean, symbolically, yeah, he did. But what did he have to do in order to get it? Would one say that the fates want that to happen? Then there's the gradual falling apart of their relationship, which is still going strong because they manage to make up time and time again and have sex. Then they bring in a third member, and the three of them do it. On screen. Seriously, what in the name of all that is holy is going on in this show? Anyway, they kind of hinted at a sort of love triangle thing with Leif, Sigrid, and Tyra, where Tyra likes Sigrid. I saw it before they addressed that, but was hoping for a plot twist that she actually was checking Leif out the whole time. We take what we get. Plus, that thing about Egil being revealed as a dude who likes both flavors of ice cream. The way they did that in the first episode, yo, you can relax with the shock factor for a bit. You can dial it down a bit, Zack. Like you showed us with the DC Universe, there's more than one way of doing things. Well, the action was good, it was gory, it was somewhat realistic. The world building was nice too. I liked the interactions between the characters. They had good enough banter. The whole thing about the witch lady falling for Egil so hard after a short time was underwhelming, but again, we take what we get. That is the problem with the shows they make these days. Some things develop too quickly for you to believe because the seasons are very short and the time between the release of each season is too long. The Netflix method has kind of ruined entertainment. First, they made use of the public's binge watching, and then they introduced the notion of waiting multiple years between seasons because of budget issues. Every other streamer started doing the same thing regarding seasons. And not to sound like someone who doesn't appreciate what we get, but waiting that long between seasons makes me not want to watch the shows until they end, so I don't have to wait years to see what happens next. I'm okay with watching shows the TV era way, one episode per day, Monday to Friday, movies on weekends. But watching 8 episodes, then waiting 2 to 3 years for the next thing? Yeah, no. I hope that's not going to be the case with Twilight of the Gods. The show is good and has a lot going for itself. I also have to mention how funny it was, seeing Odin meeting Jesus, like, yo, what is going on here? Which version of creation is real? The Norse had their own version of events, and Christianity has its own version. A good question, but for another time. Isn't that right, JJ? I still want a refund for this movie you showed us. Then Loki. I can't figure him out. Is he a bad guy? Is he a good guy? I mean, sure, in the mythology, he's not really bad. He's just a guy who likes to prank people and causes mischief. But in this, he's about to cause Ragnarok, which even in the myth, he's supposed to. But then, here, he wants to save his kids. So is he evil or just doing whatever he can? What does that mean for Freya? She's an Aesir too, and wants out of her marriage to Odin, but Ragnarok kills her too. So what gives? Did he promise her that she won't die? Who knows? The complexity with Loki's character is what draws me to the show. He's not straightforward. You want to root for him, but then you also know better than to do that. And that leads to some really confused emotions about him. Why was Thor looking for him, and what led him to the giant's village? Could it all have been part of Loki's grand design? I bet you may not have thought about that, huh? I get it. But now that I have, there may be theories spreading around YouTube or other platforms that will talk about it, and it could be proven to be true, like some previous theories that were out there but then got proven true. It's like poetry. It rhymes. Well, I guess that's what I had to say about Twilight of the Gods. It's good, and it has the potential to get better. We just need to work on the time lapse between seasons. We can't go too long without season 2. You hear that, Netflix? Do your thing. Everyone else, please check out our Facebook page, our Instagram page, and the rest of our channel for cool content. Have a good day.